Hey, it's Drybear. With the Season 1 teaser coming out, showing us that the Ultimate Freyna is going to be the next Ultimate Descendant in the game, and Haley, the Sniper Descendant, is the next one. It settles a quandary I had in myself of who is the next Ultimate going to be, because I want to start investing in non-Ultimate characters, and I don't want to invest in a non-Ultimate character and then have their Ultimate version release shortly after. Which brings up an even bigger question of what are they planning to do for their future Ultimate Descendants, and which of the characters are going to be further out that you may want to invest in now? Say you're an SEMO main or a Eugen main, or you want to play Ultimate Sharon, what does the timeline look like? So what I did today is I went through and used my developer background, planning out patches years in advance, trying to avoid major holidays, thinking about what it would be like to be a South Korean developer, and look at the characters in the game based on what they've said in their devlogs, dev entries, and try to predict what their timeline would be for the new Ultimates. This is all going to be guesswork and conjecture, but maybe it gives you an idea of how long you might have to wait for the character that you're looking forward to. And this is what I came up with. They did mention that they want to be on a quarterly schedule. So that's what you're looking at here. And based on the roadmap that they gave us, that follows that. They had two kind of things that I call in the chamber, or the content that had been created that was ready to go out. And that was going to be the Luna patch, the Ult Valby patch, the Haley patch, and the Ult Freyna patch coming out in 2 weeks. They kind of had all that like in the hopper ready to go, and they were kind of pushing forward to getting that out. Then from the Haley and Ult Freyna patch, it's going to be a 3-month wait until the early December before we start seeing the next content. And they also mentioned that they do want to do a 3-month cycle where they go through a new season starting, 3 different segments where they do changes, they add a new Colossus, they add new dungeons, that sort of thing. So what I did is I used my experience and what I've seen from them talking about so far to project out a timeline of what could be an optional presentation for them working their way through the new content, the new Descendants, and the new Ultimates. And this is my best guess as it stands right now. So on July 2nd, we had the full launch of the game, which had all of the core Descendants in the game, plus 5 Ultimates available: Ultimate Ajax, Ultimate Bunny, Ultimate Glay, Ultimate Lepic, Ultimate Viessa. Then on the 31st of July, we had Luna and Ult Valby. So Luna was a new Descendant, and Valby, one of the previous Descendants that came out on launch, was turned into an Ultimate version and released. And now with the season trailer today, we have confirmed that August 29th, in 2 weeks on a Thursday, we will be getting the new Descendant, Haley, the Sniper Descendant, and an Ultimate version of Freyna, the Poison/Toxic Descendant. And that's where our knowledge stops on what's available, and the rest is just going to be guesswork. But we do have some data mining to go on, and some, general dev notes that they've talked about how they want to go from where they're at right now to eventually being a rotation between male and female Descendants. Now, one thing that people need to know, because obviously as we're standing right here, we have a Luna and Valby, which is a double female Descendant patch. Haley and Freyna is another double female Descendant patch. If we're talking about the characters in game to the fidelity that we have with the First Descendant, it takes about 4 to 6 months to complete a character of that quality. The big process that it goes through is they'll do concept art to figure out what the character looks like. We've already seen some of this for, for example, Luna and Valby, which kind of looks like this. At this point, they're going to get the color pattern or color palette set up, and they're also going to type out and figure out all of the proportions, the presentation, and the character style for the character. And this is going to be very functional here. You can see that they all also use references for material style, different colors, and this helps the artist figure out how they're going to create the character and put it together. They also, anytime they bring anything that's hard surface, like these kind of technological pieces here or a weapon, then they have to start working with like rigging, tech arc, animation to see how are we going to make this move, what are we going to display on it, and even things like this, if it has an equalizer, then they have to get VFX involved and figure out how they're going to manage putting that on the character. So there's a long process of figuring that out. So usually these things happen far in advance. I'm guessing Luna was on their dev pipeline probably in January or February when they're starting to do their ramp up for the release. And so they can't really change the schedule last minute for the content that they have and for the content they planned for the initial release afterwards. But I think this general prediction shows just about how fast we'll be going if we go on a quarterly schedule. Personally, for a game like the First Descendant, I would like to see them move to like an 8-week schedule or even like a 10-week schedule, because I feel like 3 months is just a little bit slow for the pacing here. And we'll have to see, because after the Haley ult Freyna patch coming August 29th, that's when we're really going to feel what it's going to feel like to go through a normal season structure, because season 0 was accelerated. Season 1 is the timeline they hope for it to be, which is going to be 3 months. So we're going to be sitting on Haley, ult Freyna, and everything else that's in the game right now all the way until early December. My best guess is like December 4th through 11th. I don't know if Christmas is an official like work holiday in South Korea. I don't think it is. I don't know if they celebrate it as such. Usually that kind of skews how the release timeline goes. Generally, devs that celebrate those kind of holidays don't release around that time. But you also think about that November is a very, very big time, especially for console games. That's when you start, like October, November is when you start getting like major MMO releases. You get like the new Call of Duty, major, and then kids start asking for their favorite game for Christmas that just got released, whatever it is, like the new RPG game, the new Souls-like, whatever. And so November gets really hairy, and you generally, a good time release is like just after December has started, but before the holidays have begun, so that people can start seeing like, hey, instead of buying me the new Souls-like, can you instead buy me Ultimate Sharon or something like that, right? So like kids can get a lot more involved in that, and also people can plan out their money as it goes into holiday and their disposable income and spending that goes into that as well. So I think like leading up until this, my best guess is that we are going to get a double male release here. If they do want to follow suit or follow through with their concept of alternating between male and female, I feel like they have a lot of male to catch up on after the quad female release. And I feel like they also, like at the same time that Haley, the Frost Sniper, was data mined, we also data mined Scar, the male. And I'm guessing that because he's already data mined, it means that TechArc has already started mapping him out in the database, like in their actual packaging system. They have a package for Scar. That's when it shows up on data mining. Like when we have concepts, that's not going to show up in data mining. But once TechArc goes in and creates a package, a new package for Scar, and starts piecing things out, and new rough models are being brought in, and the rig is being implemented, that's when you start seeing him in data mining. And the fact that he's the only other character besides Haley that has showed up in the game files tells me that he's already well along on that pipeline structure. So it's very likely that Scar is going to be our new Descendant in December, but they could switch it up. From that standpoint, I'm actually very confident that it's going to be Ultimate Blair here for December, but also could be Ultimate Enzo. Now, I went back through my old VODs. I know it's kind of small here, but I went back through my old VODs of my first few days of playing TFD, and I wrote down kind of the order from top to bottom in chronological when you run into the characters, just to see if there was any insights that we grab from that. Because you could, make the guess that they are trying to loosely follow along with that, right? So you first get Ajax, Lepic, and Viessa. Your first encounter with a new Descendant is Bunny. Then you go to Albion. Then you go to Kingston. You meet Marcus. I put in parentheses if they're non-RK infused Descendants, like they don't have any powers. They're just normal NPCs, which Jeremy, I guess, would be part of that, huh? Then you meet Sharon in the Sterile Lands. Then you meet Freyna at the end of the Sterile Lands. You go to Vespers. You meet Glay and technically Dr. Kate. Then you go to Echo Swamp. You meet Enzo and SEMO, and you meet Reyna as well. You also go to Agna Desert afterwards, and you meet Kyle and Luna, who are fighting the entire time. Then you go to White Knight Gulch, you meet Valby and Eugen, and you're trying to save Eugen's core, and Valby's trying to save the environment. Then you go to Hagios, and you meet Jaber, and you technically meet Dominique as well, which I don't know if it's confirmed that she has RK and special powers or not. And then Fortress, you actually have the 3 starter characters working together to finish out the core story. So based on that, we had Sharon and Freyna show up as non-ultimates before they actually brought in, but having Freyna here tells me that we're probably going to run into Sharon as the next ultimate before we get Luna or Haley. And then based on the guy appearance order here, the next up would be Enzo, then SEMO, then Kyle in that release order. And there's also kind of been some speculation that Ultimate Blair has already been in the works from that standpoint, so it's possible this is Ult Blair, although I still think there is a good possibility this is going to be Ult Enzo. I think Ult Enzo probably makes the most sense if we are going to have to wait until the end of 2024 for this release. We know Enzo is our can opener for the game. He is the only character that can open vaults successfully, and he's also one of the main buffers in the game, providing a group group-wide critical strike chance that's additive to all of your attacks, which is something that only Enzo can do aside from a mod that Valby has. So he's super useful, super valuable, and has a unique function in being able to open all the vaults around. So I think it would probably, since we're waiting until the end of 2024 for this, it would make more sense to put Ultimate Enzo at the end here. Then I think, you know, that would be December 4th, just before the holidays, but just after all of the crazy, you know, releases that happen in November, towards the end of November. And again, there's Thanksgiving. I don't know how big that is in a work calendar for a South Korean company. Then I think, you know, if we do a quarterly schedule, they're going to go towards probably the middle of March in 2025. And this is where we're going to see Ultimate Sharon. And I think this is when they're going to start the thought that they want to alternate between male and female for Ultimate and for regular characters. And I think since this is March, right, if they launched in July, if these characters take 4 to 6 months to complete, that gives them enough time to say in July, we want to alternate genders, and then by Q1 in 2025, then that declaration can start coming out of their pipeline for all the content and work they're doing. And I'm guessing that they will then, from then on, start alternating between male and female Descendant. It probably makes the most sense to do a male Descendant and then a female Ultimate, and then a female Descendant and a male Ultimate, and alternate that way. Obviously, they could switch this up. This is all just guesswork on my end. So I think this would follow up with in like the middle of the year next year. It's possible this is either June or July. June is a very weird month worldwide for releases. It's very hard because people start traveling for summer. They start, you know, not being at home as much. So in some cases, some developers will start releasing in early July where people have finished their vacations, right? People go on vacation May, June. There's also like school calendars to be worried about. And so generally avoiding those months can be tough. Well, you could also take the opposite approach in that you want to be even more aggressive in June to make sure you don't have the summer slump for game development so that you don't have too many people leaving and not playing your game and that sort of thing. So it's possible that they do like an early June release here in the middle of 2025. And if they do alternate, I think this is where they'll do the other character that they didn't do in the winter of 2024. So if they did Ultimate Enzo here, they would probably do Ultimate Blair in the summer. But we're already like a year out from where we are right now for the launch, and we've only gone through a couple characters. That's kind of the downside of doing a quarterly update. Then I think they'll probably hit mid-September in 2025, and this will be Ultimate Luna. Then at the end of 2025, it'll probably be Ultimate SMO, but from here on, I think it could be Ultimate SMO, Kyle, Eugen, or Jaber. It's just my guess that they'll do those in the order they've shown. We've also not really seen much Eugen or Jaber at all, even in their promotional material, but even in the Season 1 update that we saw today, we did see SMO, we did see Kyle as part of that process, so those characters are showing up. That could just be, you know, coincidental. It could just be, it's correlated, right? But it's not connected in any way. Could just be guesswork. Who knows? We're out into the nebulas here. But I'm guessing end of 2025. My best guess is SEMO. Then I think, you know, for March, like middle of March again in 2026, Ultimate Haley. They'll kind of start picking up with the characters they've released. Then Ultimate Kyle, and from here, they could alternate, but it starts to get kind of weird with how, like, if we're still releasing launch ultimates at the end of 2026, even though we launched in the middle of 2024. I feel like that's kind of odd. At this point, I probably would think that they would want to maybe start doubling up on some of the males to get them caught up for ultimates, because you still have Kyle, Eugen, and Jaber that haven't been picked up and put in that. But from this standpoint, this is my best guess on what they're going to do. Obviously, they could change their mind. They could say, we don't want to alternate male-female, or maybe we want to do double male ultimates and double female ultimates or something like that back to back, and this could change up quite a bit. And they also could just say that, hey, Ultimate Jaber's coming out in December, right? All of that is on their dev calendar. I don't have any insider information on that. This is just a timeline to look at. Because personally, for me, if I wanted to invest in Sharon, or I wanted to invest in Luna, or maybe I wanted to make a super ultimate Eugen build, it would be useful to know how far out those characters are from getting an ultimate version, because realistically, let's say on some random chance that I'm right about this, which is not that high, to be honest, this can change on a dime, but let's say that this is the correct schedule. That means Ultimate Eugen would be coming out September 2026. If you knew for sure today that Ultimate Eugen was coming out September 2026, would you have any qualms about investing in your Eugen right now? Probably not. That's 2 years from now. You're going to have 2 years. You don't even know if you're going to continue playing the game that long. So if you really like the character, you probably have some time before being, needing to invest in that. And that's kind of the point of this exercise, is to help you understand the dev cycle that they've put online and the roadmap they've put online for this, and how that impacts the release of the characters, so that you can be at least a little bit more comfortable investing in characters that you generally like. I know a lot of these non-ultimate characters people have a very strong affinity for, based on their personality or their playstyle, but there's always that fear of, like, I swear to God, if I put an activator on Esimo and he comes out with an ultimate tomorrow, I'm gonna freak out, right? That kind of thing. So this is my best guess. Hopefully this is useful for you, or interesting in some way. Obviously guesswork, this is not final. I don't work at Nexon, but I just wanted to give a little bit of information. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.